it gets really bad, I'll go see him. Okay, cool. 2 weeks later, x-ray came in my clinic, and I knew he had gone on our recommendation. And this was the number one lesson in my life, where you learn in clinic, in school, and they say, do not review an x-ray for the first time in front of a patient. So I called Ray immediately. I said, hey, Ray, you're coming in today. Oh, no, I don't have an appointment. Yeah, you're coming in today. So he came in. I said, this is your x-ray. This is what it should look like. What do you notice differently? Well, there's a big air bubble. Yeah, you're right, Ray. There's a big air bubble. Now, in Singapore, we are really restricted with what we're allowed to say, diagnose. I'm not even allowed to say I treat anything. So all I can do is very strongly urge, you need to see a doctor today. Who do you normally see? Can I call them and book that appointment for you today? Giant cell tumor in his tibia. Can you imagine if we hadn't asked the question, hadn't led him to the x-ray? So what's the other thing that 5-year-olds do? They do not judge, right? They're so playful and engaging, and they want everyone to be best friends. If you go on a playground with them and then you miss a couple of weeks and they come back in, then they say, hey, this is my new friend, come play. And we want to keep that in our practices as well. When a patient misses their sessions, guess what? They know. So they're walking in, tiptoeing, hoping you won't notice. If I'm face down, she won't see me. She won't know who I am. I can get adjusted and run out of here before she knows. They know, right? If they don't do their exercises, it's very obvious. Yes? Yes. And of course, they don't like to feel dumb. And so if you're sitting in day 2 with your report and everything is a TED Talk, it's going over their head. And they're never going to ask you a question. And they're going to slowly creep out the door, right? What about when a 5-year-old does this? How do you feel right now looking at this picture? Warm, you want to smile back, right? Isn't that what our patients want to see? They want us to be visibly excited for having them. Nature of Neuroscience says 73% of the population likes to hear their own name. Everybody loves to hear their own voice. So when someone comes into your consultation, what's the best thing you can do? Say, hi, James. Hi, Bethany. Say their name. All of us are on our phones, computers, laptops. It's like a Bloomberg ticker tape. If you want to infuse chiropractic, you have a lot of barriers to get through. The easiest thing you can do by calling someone their name is, what does that do? Boom! Pattern interrupt. Create space so that you can infuse chiropractic. It's a neurological response, increases their dopamine. They're already attached to being happy in your presence, and we want to show them those eyeballs. So now we know what to do. Now how do we create that architecture in our practice? So when we look at lifetime patients, this is the 3 areas we look at. We look at connection, continuity, community. Visme so beautifully mentioned this yesterday. So with connection, we want not only for them to feel chosen by us, we want to validate their decision. We want them to know they chose correctly. There's 3,000 other chiropractors. You want them to know they're in the right place. So for connection, we really want to make sure we're grounded, we're greeting, we're bringing the energy. Did I bring energy this morning? I feel a little dull. Did I bring energy this morning? Thank you. So people will feel you before they understand why they do or don't like you. 7 seconds, energy. 10 minutes, they'll know if they're going to leave your practice. Okay, everyone sit up nice and straight. Straight. I want to see tall spines. Everyone close your eyes. I want you to imagine open adjustment room, soft light, 3 tables, 3 ladies, about 50, 60 years old. And I'm at the one table explaining chiropractic in English. She turns to the lady next to her and speaks in Mandarin, who turns to the lady next to her and speaks in Bahasa Indonesia. I'm standing in a room feeling the energy and the glow of chiropractic in 3 languages. Go ahead, open your eyes. Can you feel that? Only in Singapore. These 3 ladies were not friends. They didn't know each other. They just happened to be there together. Guess what? They're friends now. They book all their appointments together. They go out for tea after. We call that a chiro date. Somehow we have a dating service in our clinic. So some of the major questions that we want to ask during a consultation are to shift people's minds and beliefs. One of the biggest ones isn't about pain, but it's about what in their life are they missing because of what's going on for them. What are you missing? That's the emotional connection. There's a physical connection and there's also a logical. You answer all 3, people will stay with you for life. So then we want to talk about during their session, the notices, the differences they feel, the reflections that they have. Maybe they slept better. You know what? I didn't know this, but my stomach actually digests faster. I went to the bathroom like every 3 days. Now I'm like every day. Doc, what did you do to me? right? They're not going to link that to chiropractic if you don't give them the room to notice. And then, of course, we want to keep that open loop. So what is the open loop? We want to have some unanswered questions. Our brains are super curious. They're little sergeants, and they're always looking for an answer. You want your patients to come up with their own answers sometimes, to resolve on their own. Because when they start speaking their answer, they hear their own voice, and they're selling themselves on chiropractic. So the building block number one, of course, is trust. When we connect with our new patients, it's the trust factor. So I had a lady that had been coming to me for a lot of years, and she was a friend of another family that had a mother and a father and grandma and all the kids. And so one day she called and she said, you know what, Dr. Cheryl, Neil fell and sprained his ankle. Now, Neil was 10, but he was already a semi-pro golfer for his age. And now we want to take up basketball. I said, sure, bring him in, let's check him out. So I said, you know, I haven't seen Neil often, but this pattern doesn't present properly. Can we do an x-ray? No, he's a kid. Why would you x-ray a kid?